I was completely naked in a kiddie pool, wearing nothing but a cowboy hat and sunglasses, when I first saw it. The buzz-steady, mechanical, deliberate cut through the heat of a lazy summer afternoon like a warning siren. The drone hovered above me, paused midair, and tilted its little mechanical eye toward my direction like it was silently judging every decision that had brought me to that exact moment in life. And in that moment, I knew two things for sure. First, that drone wasn't there for wildlife photography, and second, Helen from the HOA was about to start the most absurd suburban war in the history of neighborhood disputes. Let me back up a little before you assume I'd finally lost it. I live just outside of a gated community called Falcon Crest Meadows. If the name alone doesn't tell you how seriously the residents take themselves, the brick entrance gate and automated license plate scanners will. My property lies adjacent to theirs 5 glorious acres of solitude, sun, and complete independence from their HOA madness. No dues, no inspections, no one telling me what shade of beige I'm allowed to paint my mailbox. I had spent years turning my place into a private slice of paradise. Solar panels lined the roof. An automated garden thrived with tomatoes, cucumbers, and more than a few unidentifiable herbs. I had a greenhouse full of hybrid chili peppers I'd bred myself. It was quiet. It was calm. It was mine. Until the drones arrived. At first, I figured it was just some kid from the neighborhood testing out a new toy. I gave it a friendly wave, followed by the universal hand gesture that suggests it should buzz off, and went back to enjoying my adult-sized juice pouch. But the next day, the drone was back. This time, it circled my greenhouse with unsettling precision, dipped low over my compost bins, hovered near my kitchen window, and then zipped off like it had seen enough. I chalked it up to nosy neighbors until I found the envelope. Taped yes. To petto my mailbox was a note printed on floral-patterned Falcon Crest Meadows HOA stationery. It read, "Dear adjacent resident, aerial footage has revealed several violations of community aesthetic codes, including but not limited to unapproved lawn ornamentation, visible compost receptacles, and shirtless loitering. Loitering. On my own land. A property not governed by their HOA. That's when I realized it wasn't curiosity. It was surveillance. So I went down to their community office to get some answers. That's where I met Helen Montgomery, president of the Falcon Crest Meadows HOA. She had the kind of haircut that looked like it could slice drywall and a gaze that made milk curdle. Her nameplate looked like it was printed at a birthday party and laminated by someone with anger issues. When I asked her politely why their drones were flying over my property, she smiled with all the warmth of a tax audit. "Oh," she said, voice coated in faux concern. "The security drone is just ensuring that adjacent properties don't pose a threat to neighborhood harmony. Nothing personal." She then handed me a form to submit an appeal to attend their next HOA meeting, which, by the way, required prior approval and a residency waiver since her words I technically wasn't one of them. "Oh, and just so you're aware," she added as I turned to leave, "all drone footage has been archived. For safety." I didn't know what disturbed me more, that she thought she had the right to monitor me or that she actually believed she did. By the end of the week, there were 3 drones on rotation. I'd wake up to their buzzing at dawn. One night, during a midnight trip to the bathroom, I saw one outside the window like a robotic peeping Tom. I finally called my buddy Max. He's a former Air Force radar tech who now fixes lawnmowers and wins bar bets with alarming consistency. "You're being droned by an HOA?" he said, half laughing, half choking on his pretzel stick. "Dude, that's not surveillance. That's an act of war." And that was the moment it clicked. We didn't need to file complaints or plead at HOA meetings. We needed to fight back in the only language HOA tyrants like Helen understood: public, undeniable humiliation. And water balloons. We started building. Out of an old leaf blower motor, some PVC pipes left over from a sprinkler overhaul, and the skeleton of a popcorn machine that had been retired after an unfortunate nacho cheese incident, we built it, the balloon blaster. It launched with enough pressure to fire a frozen water balloon over 100 feet. We tested it using apples and a stolen NO parking sign from my driveway that the HOA claimed was too angled. Each day, as the drones grew bolder, hovering right above us as we test fired, we got more determined. And we got better. Then the warnings escalated. One afternoon, I found a laminated final violation notice zip-tied to my tomato trellis. Community adjacency offenses. It read, What the hell is a community adjacency offense? It sounds official enough to scare a school board but means absolutely nothing. They threatened daily fines of $300 if I didn't remove my unsightly greenhouse and hazardous windmill. So naturally, I did the only reasonable thing. I installed a scarecrow wearing a neon vest that said "Smile for the drones" and hooked up a speaker that played dramatic courtroom music every time a drone buzzed overhead. And then came the shot heard round the koi pond. It was a blistering Saturday afternoon. The drone flew in low too low. I armed the cannon, tracked the little menace, took a breath and fired. Direct hit. The water balloon exploded against its undercarriage, sending the drone spiraling down in a blur of sparks and angry buzzing. It crashed poetically into Helen's koi pond. I watched the splash from my lawn chair and sipped from my juice pouch like a man who just defended his castle. But the victory was short-lived. The next day, I woke up to silence. No buzzing, no flying, just quiet. And that's when I knew something worse was coming. Exactly 1 hour later, a man in khakis and mirrored sunglasses walked up to my gate. His badge said HOA Compliance Officer. He handed me a folder labeled Incident Report and informed me I was under official investigation for aerial misconduct. Aerial misconduct. Inside the folder was an aerial photo, shirtless, pointing a garden hose at the sky like some lunatic militia. I called Max. He brought donuts and a look of pure joy. "We escalate," he said, mouth full. Tactically. Artistically. The garage became our war lab. We upgraded the launcher. Rebuilt the mount with a rotating turret. Added voice tracking software from my old karaoke machine. Loaded custom rounds. Some with glitter, some with non-toxic chili extract, and one with biodegradable dye. But the drones got smarter too. They shrank. Grew quieter. Had weird domes on the underside. Infrared capable. We tested them, placed hot bricks on the lawn. Watched them lock on like heat-seeking snitches. One night, a local teen pale as chalk handed me a flash drive in the Dollar General parking lot. "She's watching all of us," he whispered. The drive was full of drone footage. Not just of but of residents. Kids playing. Women doing yoga. An old man feeding his cats. Helen was stockpiling footage. For what no one knew. Now it wasn't just about me. It was about privacy. We upgraded again. The new launcher? Called it the Gusher. Rotating base. Auto-aim. Repurposed toaster conveyor. It looked like a steampunk fever dream. And it worked. We took down 2 drones in 1 week. One with glitter and eucalyptus oil. One with chili mist and dye. That's when the signs showed up. Posted on my property line. Designated Threat Zone HOA surveillance in progress. With a dramatic eagle silhouette. The HOA board showed up next. Measuring wheels in hand. Surveying, they claimed. I brought out my deed, my boundary map, and my college buddy, now a licensed land surveyor. They were clearly trespassing. When confronted, they muttered about interpretive boundaries and left. Helen, of course, upped the theatrics. One drone arrived with a speaker. "You are in violation of HOA Ordinance 14B. Cease and desist." It was Helen's voice. That night, Max and I mixed chili oil balloons. Just prepping in case. The drones stopped flying the next day. But we weren't done. The koi pond drone crash sparked HOA sirens, golf carts with red flashing lights. Helen marched down like a dictator. Screamed about emotional distress. For the koi, an official tribunal followed. Held on the community lawn. Plastic tables. Solar torches. Helen in white, arms raised like she was hosting a wedding for war criminals. That's when I played the footage. The drive from the teen. Helen's own narration. Window open. Subject in pajamas. Recommend citation. The crowd gasped. Residents turned. One elderly woman got up and left in tears. Then came the audio. Helen and her husband Greg. "We'll package it as neighborhood engagement metrics," Helen said. "If they're not hiding anything, they shouldn't mind." The crowd exploded. The tribunal turned into a mutiny. Cheryl, the vice president, tossed her badge on the table. "I think it's time we vote." Over the next week, a petition spread like wildfire. Lawn signs popped up. Shirts printed. Balloons became symbols of resistance. Helen filed a cease and desist against me. Called me a psychological threat. Claimed I'd engaged in balloon-based terrorism. I framed that letter too. When her final drone arrived massive, flying a banner reading HOA reclaims this land, we were ready. The gusher fired. 2 shots. 1 glitter. 1 chili oil. Crashed into the HOA clubhouse. Cheering. Dancing. Barbecue smoke. Karen vanished. The next week, a black SUV arrived at my gate. Government plates. The man introduced himself as a representative of a defense agency. We're always looking for creative deterrence systems. He offered me a consulting gig. Max nearly cried. I said I'd think about it. Helen's house sold quietly. Cheryl took over. Banned drones. Released the budget. Found thousands wasted on executive retreats and espresso equipment. Me? I built a bench under the tree by my garden. Kids come by now. Ask to see the launcher. And every once in a while, I load one last balloon. For fun. For peace. Just in case.